We are given two plots. They are about 6 firms, A, B, C, D, E. So the circles that you see are the companies A, B, C, D for 2019-23. One is for 19, one is for 23. We have the firm's profit after taxes directly in rupees crores. So where is that given? Here. So this is in rupees crores. Direct the profit after tax. And we are given the ES, employee strength, number of employees in the firm. So if I scan that out, I can see that is the horizontal axis. The ES, the number of people. So the strength could be 500, 600, 700 or so on. And then this is the only bit of scary thing here, PRD, percentage in research and development. And what else is there in this graph apart from the X and Y axis? The circles. So the percentage of the firm's PAT that they spend on research and development. PAT is over here. What percentage of this value is spent on R&D is given by must be by the circles. It's still not written, but here you would find it. The horizontal and the vertical represents the employee strength and the PAT values, which we had figured out anyways. The percentage spent on research development of each firms are proportional to the area around the point representing the firm. The areas are comparable between the two plots, so that equal areas. So if I take A, the grid lines here may not be very visible, so refer to it in your own laptop or wherever you're checking the test. This is a radius of one grid line, and if I take F here, this is also radius of one grid line. So the areas of A and F are same. So though they are on two different graphs, but that areas are comparable. Equal areas represent the same percentage spent on R&D. This is the only bit which can trouble one, but otherwise there's not much difficulty in understanding the PAT and the employee strength. Moving to questions. Assume the annual rate of growth in PAT over the previous year, ARG. Remember, this is an annual. Remained the same over the years for all the 6 firms. So from 19 to 23. So that's 20, 21, 22, 23. So 4 years, then this is how the PAT has increased. So for A, the PAT was 3000, and now where is A? Here the PAT became 3900, from 3000 to 3900, but from 19 to 23. And I want to annualize the rate of growth, which is same for all of it, which is nothing but the simple average annual growth, SAGR, if you have learnt it, if you have done your theory well. Which amongst the firm A, B, C and E had the highest annual growth rate? Now the highest annual growth rate will also be the company which has the highest growth rate. Just the growth rate from 19 to 23. So I don't need to really annualize it, because I just want to find the highest one. I don't want to find a numeric value. So I just take the total growth rate. So instead of annual, I take the total growth rate from 19 to 23. That's it. So for firm C, it was 2400. C here became 3000. So 24 went on to become 30, which is a ratio of 6:4:5, which is a growth rate of 25%. Okay, 6 by 24, 25%. Firm B was 2800, went on to 3800, 28 went on to become 38, an increase of 10 by 28. You could look at it this way also, an increase of 10 by 28. 1 by 14, you should know 1 by 14 is 7.14. So 1 by 28, will be half of that. Now here it's not 1, it's 10. So just take 1 by 14 or 7.14, 71.4, half it. 35 plus. So this will be more than 35% growth rate. And we want the highest. So this can't be my answer. I already know one is which is more than 35. Let's see, is there anyone more than this? Firm A. A was 3000 and became, this is A, 3900. So that is from 30 to 39. A growth rate of 9 on a base of 30. So that's straight 30%. So this also cannot be my answer. I already have something greater. Firm E. E was 2400, went on to become 3500. 2400 went on to become 3500, an increase of 11 on a base of 24. 1 by 24, one needs to know, student. 1 by 24 is 4.1666. When you multiply that with 11, the growth rate is more than 44%. And this is definitely more than this. When we write more than 35, we mean just a little more than 35, right? So this is my answer in this case, without doing much calculations. A lot of this part, I have to write it because I have to explain it to you. In your scratch pad, you just needed to write these numbers. That's it. Moving on. Question 2. The ratio of the amount of money spent by C, just focus on C, on R&D in 19 and 23 is closest to what? So here comes the part of that circle. So if we take this circle here, C in 2019, the radius is 1.5 grid lines. Yeah, it is just extending a little more. It's just the radius. So the area is proportional to is R squared. And I don't want to get pi into picture because we're just talking of proportionality. So R squared. So the area is proportional to R squared, and the spend, the percentage spend, whatever they call it, percentage on R&D is proportional to area. So the percentage spent on R&D is nothing but proportional to R square. So I'll take R square. So 1.5 is a decimal. So I'll just change it to fraction. R squared into. Now remember, this is a percentage of the PAT, whereas it is saying amount of money spent. So this much percentage of PAT. And what is PAT? 2400. And if I look the same thing here, now the radius is an exact 1 grid line. So R square is going to be 1 square of, what is that? Of 3000. This is the ratio that is required. Doesn't look very difficult, right? So this is going to be a 9 by 4 and this is going to be a 4 by 5. The 4 cancels out, 9 is to 5, direct answer we get. Remember, we are taking a ratio, it is proportional, so you could say that is a constant also over here. But that constant will be both for this as well as this. So the constant also cancels out when we are taking the ratio, right? Moving on. Question 3. Which amongst the firms A, C, E, F, so we have to again compare, has the maximum PAT per employee in 23. So just focus on the graph for 23. PAT is given directly, per employee is given directly. So you just need to take that ratio, that's it. And which one do you need? Just keep an eye on, you need the maximum. So look, with the minimum amount of scribbling. For C it is, you can ignore all the 2 zeros because that will be present in all of them. Okay, so for C it is 30 by 8. So for C it is 30 by 8, which you should directly be knowing, students. 8 3s are 24, 6 by 8 is 7/5. This is very easy, so I did it, or else I would have left it in the fraction. What about firm A? Where's A? Here, very high up, right? So it could have a very high PAT. Oh, so that's 39. 39 by 13. For A, you should directly be writing 3. And this is not my answer because I already know something which is more. And how did we get that 3? 39 by 13. 13 is the employees. Okay. Okay, for E, coming to E, again a little high, 35 PAT over 14. So you could do 35 by 14. Both are multiples of 7. 5 by 2, 2.5. So this is also not my answer. And finally F, 32 divided by 1000 or 10. 32 by 10 is straight 3.2. So this is the highest. So from C or option choice A is the answer. Question 4. Which amongst the C, D, E, F had the least, again we are comparing, amount, remember, of R&D spending per employee. Now what is R&D spending? R&D spending is nothing but that proportionality we learnt in the first question, R square, that R is the radius of the circle, this much percentage of the PAT. This is the spent divided by per employee, the employee strength. So R&D spent per employee. We divide it. So this is what we need to do, and we need to find for which it is the least. So if I take D, again only focus on the graph for 2023. For D, here we have D, R is going to be 1 squared, yeah, don't forget the squared, of PAT, which is 24, divided by how many people? 800, that is 8. So this is a simple number 3. Since it's obvious, I'm writing it down. For the second option E, the radius now is 1.5 grid lines. So R square will become 9 by 4. Okay, of 35, divided by employee strength 14. So 7 5s are, 7 2s are. This is dividing by 8 should not be any issue. 45 by 8. 8 5s are 40. 5 left over. 5 by 8 is 625. You can be so accurate. You don't need to, but it's okay. So we want least. So this is not my answer. Okay, for C, radius is 1 square into 30 by 8. Now 30 by 8, this is still going to be more than 3. If you look here, the only difference is this. So this is more than 3, whereas I want the least. So this is also not going to be my answer. And finally for F also the radius is 1. So again that's very easy, into 32 by 10. So 1 square into 32 by 10, which is going to be 3.2. which is still more than 3. The least one is 3, which is firm option choice A, firm D.